FIFA ランク6位のブラジルが日本時間に行われた一戦で同18位の日本を2対1で逆転の末に下しベスト16進出を決めました。世界中の注目を集めたこの大一番を試合後の現地公式番組でも大きく取り上げています。番組には元アイルランド代表 MF ロイ・キーン、元フランス代表 MF パトリック・ビエラ、元デンマーク代表ゴールキーパーピーター・シュマイケルが出演。プレミアリーグの歴史を彩った名手たちがブラジル対日本の一戦を振り返りました。3人は試合内容を詳しく分析した上で日本について胸が張り裂けるような結果だったと表現。あと一歩のところで勝利を逃した日本代表に対し厳しい結果でありながらもその戦いぶりに評価を示しています。これらの模様を日本語字幕付きでご紹介します。
And now his adopted country is one step closer to what they all want, which is a World Cup final. Of course, there's a long, long way to go before that. And when we have a look at the progressive draw, as it were, Brazil top right there, you can see they're in the same quarter as England. There's a long, long way before that might happen. So
one game at a time.
Don't worry about that
Just relax.
today.
One game at a time, Mark. Let's relax.
That's a story a long way down the line. Let's have a look at the goal. Let's have a look at the way it's Ryan, actually, the Bournemouth winger, who didn't have a particularly impactful match, but he kept going and he wins the ball back just at the right
That's a great sign when you want your attackers, if they're not having a great day in terms of a possession, make sure you hunt people down and win the ball back, which they did, and particularly so late in the game, that desire to try and win a game of football when you're thinking we'll settle for a draw. And again, we're looking at Martinelli, of course, just
and it's Tanaka who gives it away.
Yeah, of course, but that's the pressure they're under. But it's the final pass. Yeah, we criticise the fullback for maybe gambling, but the composure with the pass, where you're thinking he's obviously going to have a shot here, and it's so late in the game, that composure, that intelligence, and the execution of the pass. Brilliant first touch from Martinelli that sets it up. And we've seen Martinelli. We listen to plenty of critics out there of Martinelli not doing enough consistently, but from that moment, that first touch. Big moment for him, big moment for Brazil, and you can see the reaction. I loved that. I thought Brazil outstanding. Absolutely loved watching it in the second half. Real desire to go and win a game of football.
I think the referee's view, Patrick, just shows how congested it is in. I think that's a really good view for everybody at home to really appreciate how little space there is in there.
Yeah, it was quite really compact. You had around 19 players just around the box. But what is quite really interesting on that side is Brazil in the possession. They lost the ball, but they stayed there and tried to win it straight away. So the fact that they win the ball straight away didn't give Japan the time to reorganize themselves. And then in a really tight space, they make the right decision. There was a quality of the pass, and it was a really good finish.
And what about that? It's decision-making, it's control.
It is, but, you know, if you're going to defend that deep, as Japan did, Sugiwara, the right back there, has got to tuck in. You know, it's one thing sitting deep, but you give good players this much space. Look, it's a great first touch, great pass, but when you have so many players in the box, you can't be giving opposition players that much space.
Well, it needs to be almost man-to-man in there, doesn't it?
It has to be, because the right back, Sugiwara's got no one to pick up there. The space is inside. That's where the danger is. And that was the problem for Japan. They not just sat deep, they still give opportunities, no pressure on the ball for them to be able to compete in there.
And we've seen it so many times over the years where teams have a lot of numbers back, but sometimes you have too many numbers. Everyone else thinks somebody else is going to do the job, and they end up with 3 or 4 spare players instead of just actually getting tight in somebody, go man-to-man, because there's plenty of bodies there, but everyone is thinking somebody else is going to do that job.
I love the way that when a massive goal goes in, he's like, yeah, and 5, that's what happens, Ange. Just the way he stays calm, even when it's going his way, it's remarkable.
Yeah, but I think he also understands that, you know, in the chaos of everything that's happening, the game is still going on. Yes. You know, there's still things that need to be decided, and, you know, I think, look, it's heartbreaking for Japan. I know exactly how they'd be feeling, because as a nation, they just feel like they need to break through this barrier, and now they have to wait another 4 years to do that. And that's the World Cup. You know, they're the moments, and the great teams find a way to win, and that's what Japan need to get to.
And with the Japanese, because they all know full well that if you know us, the Japanese equivalent sitting here are going, done it against Belgium, you've done it against Croatia, now you've done it again against Brazil. When are you going to learn? How are you going to make that step?
Well, it was like Arsenal finished second for a number of years. Football, top level football is brutal. That's why when the teams keep winning, we have to give them credit. So Japan, again, have made fantastic progress. Their supporters have been magnificent, and their players gave it their all today. I think the previous times where they've been knocked out, where they got themselves in great positions, you could be a bit more critical. And obviously we'll analyse, Ange has mentioned their defenders making wrong decisions, but that's pressure. That comes from pressure, decision making in key moments where the top teams just have that bit of composure. And again, this top level sport is brutal. They'll have to learn. And 4 years, in another 4 years' time, hopefully they're a little bit wiser.
Absolutely, that is the case.
What does a win in this fashion do for Brazil going forward?
I won't recommend playing for it, but it's the greatest way to win a game, isn't it? They deserved it, and they had so much. They had 69% of the ball, and they were really playing well. Japan was defending well, and it's difficult. It's always difficult to break that kind of thing. But again, they find that little space. You called Bruno Guimaraes, he would find that pass. You called that before the game, and he did find that pass. And it only takes 1 minute or one moment of a game, tired minds, tired legs out there, to do that. And it's a brilliant thing to win it like that. I said before the game, the 2 games I've been at with Brazil this tournament, it's always looked like they had another gear. And today they have to go into that other gear. I thought they did that today. And to win like that, it's going to give you so much confidence.
It slightly sums it up, Ange, doesn't it? That Japan are full of energy, they're full of intensity, and in many areas they just look half a yard quicker, don't they, than some of the Brazilian players?
Absolutely, and then we spoke about it at the drinks break in the first quarter. So that was an issue for them, not just with Casemiro, but Paqueta and Guimaraes are very similar players as well. As Roy rightly says, none of them are real ball winners, and that's the advantage that Japan have. When they can play through the midfield, they've got the legs to go past people into space, and you saw that perfectly with the goal. And this is the bit that is going to be crucial now. Don't sit back. Japan have been in this position before. 2018 against Belgium, 2-0 up. Croatia, 2022, 1-0 up. If they press at the right times like this, they will make it very, very difficult for Brazil. You can't do it for 45 minutes at that tempo. But look, I coach Maeda. I've said it before. This guy is absolutely world class at this. And it may seem like a small thing, but his pressing ability, his ability, just watch him close down space here. He takes a touch. Before you know it, bang, he's on the ball. If they can keep that sort of intensity up at different moments, regulate it, they're going to make it awfully hard for Brazil.
And they look like they enjoy pressing.
They do.
It doesn't look like a chore to them. And obviously they've got something to hold on to now, but the danger for Japan, and do not get comfortable.
Yeah.
A couple of times there towards the end, they give the ball away sloppily, like lack of concentration. Do not get comfortable. That's a dangerous place to be.
Classificação, uma vitória no final, mas você avalia que esse jogo foi jogo de evolução da equipe ou a equipe apresentou mais problemas do que você imaginava no primeiro tempo, especialmente, depois talvez uma correção de rota no segundo?
Eu acho que até agora este jogo era o jogo mais completo. Tivemos mais problemas na primeira parte a buscar oportunidades, porque o Japão estava muito bem fechado atrás. Buscamos soluções na segunda parte, ponendo mais cruzamento e mais presença na área. Então, eu acho que é uma evolução, porque se não tivermos problema a buscar espaço, a buscar espaço em outro jogo, aqui tivemos o problema e o solucionamos muito bem na segunda parte.
O número de cruzamentos era o previsto, quer dizer, porque tinha linha de 5 atrás, então a tentativa de variar os dois lados, tentar abrir a defesa, mas a quantidade de cruzamentos era prevista e a bola parada não está entrando, né? Desde o jogo contra o Senegal, que não tem um gol de jogada ensaiada de bola parada, tem gol de pênalti, mas não tem de bola parada. Que para um jogo desse tipo é possível ser repertório. Tá faltando?
Bom, a primeira parte era tentar de ter superioridade no meio campo com os 4 e buscar jogo entre linhas e filtrar pase para os delanteros na frente. No salió porque eles estaban muy fechados dentro del campo. Mudamos no intervalo para meter más cruzamiento, para entrar más. Tenemos que tirar mejor o corner porque tenemos estructura para golpear e temos que melhorar o tiro.
É evidente, para até contestar algumas opiniões, que a imprensa, antes de trabalhar, torce muito pelo Brasil. E hoje ficou comprovado o quanto todos nós sofremos. Sofremos muito na tribuna de imprensa. E quando chegamos aqui na sala de imprensa, foi um alívio. Dava para perceber que a gente estava em campo jogando com vocês e conseguimos. Isso também se nota em muitos momentos do time, quando tem adversidade no jogo. Os jogadores não conseguem reagir psicologicamente bem aos toques, aos passes, às marcações. Precisa ser feito um trabalho psicológico mais intenso com os jogadores, professor?
Bom, lo falamos antes da Copa do Mundo, este aspecto que o fútbol tem errores. É como não se pode manejar de não fazer errores porque ninguém é perfeito. Podemos manejar como salir da error, que é pensar, mirar adelante. É o que o equipe fez muito bem na segunda parte. Pensábamos que no podíamos empatar. No, nunca. Ninguém pensaba que ese equipo no va a marcar. Focalizamos bien, sobre todo en la segunda parte, a vigilancia para evitar transición que podían complicar el juego. Sí, obviamente el aspecto psicológico es importante. El sufrimiento es normal. No hay nada nuevo, sobre todo en el fútbol moderno. El sufrimiento es normal, como es normal el alivio. Pero yo siempre tento lembrar que a veces yo tengo que estar aquí, después una derrota es aún más complicado.
Você sofreu mais do que a gente?
No, yo menos que a gente. Porque estaba confiante, porque el equipo estaba jugando, no es que el equipo jugó bien hasta el primer minuto y después encontramos dificultad para la fuerza del rival, que es un equipo muy respetable, muy bien organizado, muy peligroso, con jugadores fuertes en los duelos a nivel físico. Pero el equipo estaba en el campo, no era un equipo perdido, no era un equipo perdido como a primeira parte contra Marrocos.
No primeiro tempo, o Casemiro foi muito questionado pelos torcedores ali, pelo desempenho dele em campo. Ele acaba permanecendo, faz o gol, tem essa jornada de herói dentro do jogo. O que mudou para o Casemiro dentro do jogo? Qual foi a sua conversa com ele no vestiário para ele permanecer no jogo e as coisas mudarem?
Não falei com ele porque ele estava atuando. Depois é o que falamos antes. Se podem fazer errores. Eu não acho que o gol de Japón era un error de Casemiro. Fallamos una salida y Casemiro actuó muy bien. También el gol del empate ha sido clave para o jogo.
Foi sobre a Inglaterra. E esse jogo se assemelhou a uma noite de Bernabéu, a la Real Madrid. Esse time está cascudo o suficiente para enfrentar Costa do Marfim ou a Noruega domingo, 5 da tarde? O time do Brasil está cascudo, consistente, forte.
Sí, estamos fortes, contentes. Sabemos que seguimos el camino, tenemos que seguir mejorando, trabajando, descansar también es muy importante. A ver quién va a ser el próximo rival. Se puede marcar al último minuto. Se puede, también en la prórroga se puede marcar. Estábamos ya pensando que podía pasar la prórroga. El equipo también estaba preparado para la prórroga.